I want to just read to you something that your fellow New York Republican, the Congressman Nick Lilloda, tweeted after he saw that your sentence was commuted. He said, George Santos didn't merely lie, he stole millions, defrauded an election, and his crimes, for which he pled guilty, warrant more than a 3-month sentence. He should devote the rest of his life to demonstrating remorse and making restitution to those he wronged. Another New York Republican, Congressman Andrew Garbarino, who is part of the ethics committee, at least he was when they were investigating you, said your victims haven't been made whole and that, quote, he has shown no remorse. The less than 3 months that he spent in prison is not justice. What's your response?
Look, they're entitled to their opinion. Look, Dana, this isn't about tit for tat. It's not about revenge. It's not about retribution. It's obvious they are my critics, and they have the right to do that. And they have the right to say whatever they're saying. I'm not going to sit here and go on my former colleagues, Lilloda and Garbarino. That's not what it's about. For me, I'm looking at this very simply, Dana. I'm going to look to the future. I've learned a great deal and a very large slice of humble pie, if not the entire pie, for the experience I had at FCI Ferreton under the care of Warden Kelly. But I will say that this isn't about that. I don't want to rehash and go into these things. Life is too short. I have been granted a second chance. I have made a very concise decision to apply that for good and use that to make amends with my community, with my friends, with my family, and those who I have left a sour taste in their mouth. And hopefully one day get my critics to at least appreciate that I've turned around and done better with my life. This isn't about, glitter, stars, and glam or going back to Congress. So it's really not. This is a very personal journey and road for me ahead. It is not going to be easy. I am still a felon. I still wear the scorn of my poor choices and my poor decisions, and I have to fight that myself. Now, if you want to talk about my sentence, look, I argue there were three defendants in my case, myself, my treasurer, and a former staffer. My treasurer gets a 3-year probation sentence, which is appropriate for a first-time nonviolent white-collar crime. I get a 7-year disproportionate sentence that is anything but political if you talk to anybody who really looks at these kind of cases. And then you look at my staffer, who's still sitting in FCI Ferreton, which is Sam Mealy, unfairly. So you really need to take this and see what's equitable here. So I still think for it to be equitable, Sam Mealy should have a commutation afforded to him. And I think that probation would have been the appropriate sentence from the get. Restitution, probation. And now I don't make those decisions. I'm very grateful to President Trump, Dana. And I sit here quite literally. I don't know how much more humbled I can get before people believe I'm humble or remorseful, but I can just do the best in my actions moving forward.